we always go, they're fine, they're little, they can handle it. But I think about my experience. I was 21 when I started having all of my issues. My formative years, I was eating nothing but junk. And so I think about it that way. I'm like, I want my kids to have a solid. One of my best friends grew up in Brazil, and she didn't eat all that stuff. And she's so healthy. She's 62, and she doesn't look like it at all. She's in great shape. Her skin is beautiful. Her hair is beautiful. And I just think it has to do with the foundation that was laid. That's how I think about it. It's a foundation that we're laying for our kids. So what I do instead with my kids is I'll do plain yogurt and I'll add raw honey to it. And you can add like berries or whatever they like, but it makes it sweet. But it's raw honey.
Agave. So like I homemade all their
Well,
college stuff.
so let me talk about agave real quick.
Oh, you don't like agave?
Agave is 90% fructose. High fructose corn syrup is only 55% fructose. So agave, for some people, I don't do agave because my liver hates me at times. It can be really hard on the liver. Fructose and agave are processed by the liver. So again, I just wouldn't use it as like a, I say raw honey, raw honey, raw honey. Like I don't love it by itself, but mixed into things, it's amazing. Yeah.
What do you stand on juicing and kombucha?
Juicing and kombucha?
Exactly.
Yeah. Juicing, I think juices have their place, but I don't recommend them like in place of fiber. Meaning if somebody has really horrible constipation or digestion issues, I guess maybe I would say like alternate. Because juices are good because we get a lot of the antioxidants and all the enzymes and things in, but we're missing the fiber. And fiber binds to toxins and helps toxins get out of the body. So I don't recommend it by itself, I guess, is the answer to that. And kombucha, there's some kombuchas that have a ton of sugar, and there are some that have less. And the ones that have less still taste sweet. So I guess I would just say, look at the back of the bottle.
Or make it yourself.
Or, I've never done that, have you?
Amazing. I've science not in it.
Love it. Yeah, so I do like kombucha. I guess some people, if somebody has like candida or SIBO or something like that, kombucha may not work for them, but all right, I think I'm done. Thank you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Carrie. Whew, that was a lot, yes. A lot of big words. If it felt like you're in Anatomy 101 or Physiology 101, that was a lot there. So, yes, like she said, I can't say enough that before you go home and throw away your makeup, all your makeup out of your makeup drawer, before you douse your kids in coconut oil before they go outside, start with one thing, all right? You're going to hear me say this a lot. Assessment precedes awareness, and awareness precedes change. Assessment. What's in this? Look at the label. Like, is there a lot of seed oils in this? Is that like the number one ingredient, all right? Now you're becoming aware. You can be aware of, do I want to eat this or not? How's this food going to make me feel when I do eat this? There are other products around. And I'll say this, all right? Guilty enough and it hurt to actually do this, but all of those snacks over there have seed oils in them. They just do. I have those bars over there that are for sale. No, they're free today. But those are Primal bars that do not have seed oil. What's the difference? A box of those Primal bars is $30 for I think like 8. A box of 12 protein bars is like $15. Seed oils are one of those things that are just a cheaper ingredient, so they're easy to put in to mass produce. So bigger, larger brands will have seed oils in them. I'll give you an example here. I love popcorn. There's Skinny Pop, which has the seed oils, and then there is Lesser Evil, which does not have seed oils in them. I love the coconut oil one, but guess what? It has a little hint of coconut. So if you don't like coconut, hey, it's a little different. But become more aware of what is inside your foods and what's inside your products. Because what goes on your body goes in your body. So the stuff you're putting on your deodorant on there, the aluminum in there, that goes directly into your body. And it has this little special place inside your brain that it sits. And it has been shown to cause Alzheimer's. So it is wild to think, but yes, every single thing that we intake, whether that is putting on, breathing in, putting inside, has a reaction, whether it's a positive or negative reaction. There's nothing that's really neutral within our body. And if we eat something that has 50 different ingredients in there, that's 50 different reactions that are occurring. And each reaction could set off another chain of reactionary events, which is why nutrition can be so damn confusing, because there's so much that can happen potentially. So that's to wrap up Carrie's speech, and I want to introduce mine by kind of showing off this like crazy shirt that I have here. Fat, failed, frustrated. I was too. Maybe you do know, maybe you don't know, but I was at once 80 pounds heavier than I am today. I stepped on the scales before wrestling practice, and I was 285 pounds. It's my senior year, and I was like, holy crap, I have to cut weight to make it to heavyweights in wrestling. I am too fat to compete in wrestling right now. That was a hard thing to see. And I knew I was overweight, and I knew that every single time I went to the doctor's like, hey, you've gained another 5 pounds. I'm like, thanks, doc, I know. But it was at that moment, I'm like, holy crap, like I almost can't play this sport today. And so I decided in that moment, it was like a weird shift in my head. I decided I'm either gonna quit now, and I'm going to become fat and overweight the rest of my life. I'm just gonna completely give up, or I'm going to make a change. And so I decided to make a change, ended up cutting 60 pounds in those 3 months in wrestling. Now, some people think about that as an unsustainable crash diet way. Yes, that was. It was a way that is unsustainable. I was wrestling 2 to 3 hours in a hot, sweaty room with a bunch of other dudes, Monday through Friday. All right? I wasn't really eating much. I was thinking probably eating 1 whole pizza a day because I worked at Little Caesars. Terrible way to lose weight, but it was effective for me. But the thing was, I had an incredibly strong conviction and reason why I wanted to do it. And once I did that, and I felt 60 pounds lighter, it gave me this sense of confidence that, wow, I can do this. So before we go into this, one of the most important things is you have a strong reason why. You have conviction of why you're making these changes to your health, to your lifestyle, for the betterment of your quality of life. If you don't have a strong reason why, it's going to be very easy to give in to that immediate gratification. You need to delay the gratification for the longer term goal that you have in mind. For me, it was, I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be overweight. I don't want to look at myself in the mirror and not like what I see. I don't want exercise to be so hard where I can't run a mile without stopping. Because wrestling, oh yeah, you got to run. And I remember my buddy, Noe, he made me run 5 miles. If you guys have been to Fullerton before, this place called Skyline. You have to go all the way up this hill and all the way down. We had to do a 5-mile run, and he's in shape, and I had to push me through that run. And I remember just thanking him at the end of it, because he was one of those guys that like I hated because he was a bully, but he showed me that like, hey man, you can actually do this. So I thank him to this day for doing that for me. So you got to have a strong reason why. All right, so let's throw in, and we're going to talk about flexible dieting and intuitive eating and kind of what the differences are there and how you can blend them together. So first off, the truth about diets. Who here has ever been on a diet? Raise your hand if you've been on a diet, whether it's vegan, carnivore, all right, basically everybody in this room, right? Diets have all one thing in common: restriction. All diets have some sort of restriction to them. Vegan, what does it restrict? Meat, all animal products, all right? Keto, what does it restrict? Carbs, all right? Mediterranean diet, what does it restrict? Processed foods, yes. It may not restrict it per se, but it highly encourages eating more fish, vegetables, and grains. So every single diet has restriction built into it, all right? And restriction often leads to less calories eaten overall because we have very clear boundaries and guidelines that we're sticking to. But that could be tough when we're trying to live a lifestyle. And if we're not trying to eat seed oils, sorry, you can only have the bananas over there and the coffee because those don't have seed oils in them. Or if you are a vegan or a vegetarian and you go to a barbecue and all they have is hot dogs and hamburgers, sorry, you can't eat that stuff over there. All right. Or you are you're on a keto diet and you go to Italy, that's going to suck for you. Or you're just not going to be on your diet at all. So that's one thing about diets is they all have restriction in common. All right. Weight loss is a very simple equation. It's calories in, calories out. All right? Weight loss comes down to how many calories in your body. Yes, it can be very confusing because there are many other processes that go into play with regulating your metabolism. Your metabolism is the amount of energy your body processes in a day. If we have a lower metabolism, or what people call slow metabolism, we're going to be burning less calories. We're going to have less metabolic processes happening in the body, less turnover of those cells. So if we have a fast metabolism, then our body is turning over the calories and putting them into nutrients that our body can then use. So we want to crank up the metabolism, all right? And one way to slow the metabolism down is to eat less and starve yourself. So we want to avoid that. So I'm not here to tell people to restrict their foods or to starve themselves, right? But what really drives weight loss is, again, like I said, calories in, calories out. If you eat less food than you burn in a day, you're going to lose weight. If you eat more food than you burn in a day, you're going to gain weight. If you have an even balance, you're good. Now here's the thing. Most people look at it on a day-to-day basis. Did I do good today? Did I do bad today? All right? We want to avoid that and look out at the big picture. How was I over the course of a whole week? Let's say somebody burns, we'll use an example for me, all right? Let's say somebody burns 2,000 calories a day. Easy numbers, I'm terrible at math. 2,000 calories a day, all right? Times 7, that's 14,000 calories they burnt in a week. Maybe on Friday, they ate 2,500 calories, but that Thursday before, they only ate 1,500 calories. That will put them at an even position because it all evens out. So if you look at the calories over the whole week, you might have some days where, hey, I definitely ate less than I burned today. Some days where you ate at maintenance. Some days where, hey, I went definitely higher than I needed to eat and I ate more than I should have. But over the course of the week, I only consumed 13,000 calories and my body burnt 14,000. Well, there's going to be a positive effect on weight loss at that point. But all those numbers aren't as simple as that because we don't burn just 2,000 calories a day. We might burn a little more, we might burn a little bit less depending on what we're doing for the day. Same thing with our foods. We might have a little bit more or a little bit less. So we're gonna be talking about how to have the strategies to figure out how much am I burning, how much am I consuming. All right, so weight loss is calories in, calories out. And yes, there are many other factors that go into play there. That's a topic for a completely another day, so we can go really into that. But for the most part, I just want you to know that yes, diets have restriction in common, and it has to do with how many calories you're consuming and how many calories you're burning, and seeing where you are in energy balance. Why most diets fail, and again, the reason why I said that this is not a diet today is because I'm going to be giving you strategies and tactics to create a way of eating that can benefit your lifestyle. But most diets fail because they use willpower, all right? I am restricted for something, that usually has the opposite effect on people. If you say you cannot have this, sometimes they start to crave that thing that you said you cannot have, or you said to yourself, you can no longer have this thing. And then that craving is gonna live inside your head, and sometimes it lives there for 5 minutes, sometimes it lives in there for 5 days. But the craving will be in there whispering in your ear saying, eat me, please. And the longer you go and the more you try to white knuckle yourself of not having those cravings, there's gonna be a point where you're stressed, you're tired, and you're just gonna give in. And then when that happens, some people binge, they go overboard. That might take them 5 days, that might take them 5 weeks. But at some point, when somebody's on a really restrictive diet, they have to stop. Unless that's literally the lifestyle that they live. There are some people that follow really restrictive diets for many, many, many years. But that diet becomes part of their identity and it's because of who they are. I am a vegan. I am a carnivore eater. I am a keto diet person. They've adopted that diet as part of who they are. And if you don't want to adopt that and think this isn't part of who I am, but more so I live a lifestyle where I eat this way. It's a little different. And there are times where, hey, you know what? I'll go through phases where I'll eat a little bit less carbs because I just feel like I don't need as many. Or those times where I'll just eat, way more protein than I need to because that's just how I feel for my body that day. So there's also no skill building as well and no lasting change. One of the big things that's new is GLP-1s like Ozempic, Wegovy, all right? These are basically, they do one thing, they slow down your appetite. So they squash hunger cues and you no longer feel hungry. And guess what happens when you don't feel hungry? You eat less food. So so is it making people lose weight? No, it's making people eat less food, so they're having less calories than they're consuming less calories. Now, it's a relatively new drug, so we're unsure about the overall what does this do for 5 years? What is the long-term case study of this? Yes, sure, people are losing weight, but are they losing what's called total body weight? When we want to lose weight, we want to think about losing body fat and trying to preserve muscle mass. But we also don't want to lose weight through our muscle. We don't want to lose weight through our bones. We don't want to make our tendons and ligaments brittle as well, because that's not going to have a good effect on your health and how your body feels and performs. So things like GLP-1s, hey, take them at your own risk. We're just unsure about what the long-term effects are. And also, there's no skill building. If you if you put something in you and it says, I'm no longer hungry, well, if you stop taking that and now you're hungry and you can't control yourself, you didn't build any skills. So part of this is skill building. All right, so we want to choose your tool, not your prison, all right? Flexible and intuitive dieting, right? And I say prison because some people, like I said, when it becomes an identity, you are known as this person. You might have joined a group of people, like I'll use keto people, right? People in a keto feel sometimes like they're in a cult. And I've been in this cult, and I am here now, and I've gotten the results that I want. I found this group of people on Facebook, and I found this gym where all they do is keto, and I just don't want to do this anymore. Well, now you have to exit that cult, and you may not have those friends anymore. Well, hopefully there'll be nice enough people that you can go ahead and eat pasta while they're eating avocado salad, but it can feel like a prison at times when that's what we identify as is how we eat in the diet that we follow. So what I want to say is both of these are skill sets and mindsets. Intuitive eating is a mindset that is all based around up here. Flexible dieting is a skill set. All right, so these are two things that I want to teach you how to use and how you can apply them today. All right. Both are help, and they're what I say many paths leads to the same destination. If the destination is weight loss, there's many different paths that can lead you there. Sure, diets can lead you there, but will it keep you there and keep you down the road? All right, these are two different paths that can intertwine and connect together at different points that will lead you to the destination, whether it is weight loss, weight maintenance, or hey, weight gain if that's what we're looking to do. All right, I know a lot of people think about weight loss, but there are some people that also think, hey, I need to gain some weight too. I need to gain some muscle. I'm actually underweight, which has its own negative effects as well. Or if you just don't like how you feel and you think, hey, you know what? I want to gain some muscle so I have more confidence, I have more strength, and I can do more with my body. All right. Intuitive eating, what it is about getting in touch with your body, listening to your body's cues, and understanding what it needs. All right. I want to start this off by first saying, your body will crave what you feed it. All right. Again, your body craves whatever you feed it. We'll use nicotine as an example. You feed your body nicotine, you're going to crave nicotine. Right? That's a very easy one to have. If you feed your body caffeine, you're going to crave caffeine. If you feed your body sugar, you're going to crave sugar. If you give yourself enough water and you hydrate properly, you'll know what it feels like to be dehydrated and you'll crave water. If you're constantly dehydrated, you won't know what that feels like. So you'll be like, well, I don't know if I need water because this is just how I am. This is my current state, is to always be dehydrated. Like that the leaves over there that I need water. Thank you for the reminder, Stacy. And so if you feed your body enough protein, you'll know what it feels like to not need enough protein. So intuitive eating does start with having some kind of restriction, understanding am I giving my body too much of something? Why am I having these cravings for sugar? Is it because I'm getting myself hits of sugar throughout the day like a junkie? And if you are, you got to think, how can I scale back from that? Yes, I'm going to have these cravings, and I'm going to feel these cravings, and I notice these cravings, but at one time they will pass. And that all comes down to a mindset, is recognizing I have this craving for sugar. I know I want to eliminate these cravings for sugar. The only way I can eliminate it is to not give in to the temptation of the craving. I have to sit with this feeling and be okay with this craving that I have, but not give in to it. It's hard. But chances are there's things that we've gone through in life that are much bigger and much greater that we don't give into. Sugar is just such an easy thing to do because it's accessible, it's everywhere, and nobody's going to be mad at you for giving into that craving. All right, hunger and fullness cues. This is a big one because we are taught, maybe some of us were taught to finish your plate, all right? Like, hey, you know what? I have a client of mine, and he needed to lose weight, and he is 68 years old, and his father was through the Holocaust, and so he was taught you have to finish everything because the experience that his father had was you do not know when your next meal is coming from. So be grateful for what you have here on your plate and eat everything on your plate. He was taught that as a kid. Those behaviors have followed him for 60 years to where he eats every single thing on his plate because of the experience that his father went through. And so that was a pattern of behavior that he has to realize that, like, this is what I do, and I have to try to eliminate this or be okay with eating less because my experience is different from what I was taught before and what my father was going through. I know there's a fridge full of food in here, and I can always have more of this if I want to. My plate is not going to be taken away. So some patterns and behaviors and habits are passed down to us through our parents. And we may not be aware of that. Again, awareness precedes the change. So by looking at what we do with our way of eating, how we eat our food, we got to think, like, is this something that I can fix? Is this something I can improve? Like eating in front of a television. That is distracted eating. And it's been shown that if you do eat in front of your TV, chances are you're more likely to consume 25% more calories. And you got to think, like, did I grow up in a household where I had a TV dinner tray and I ate dinner in front of the TV? Or did I grow up in a household where I ate dinner at a table, whether it was with my family or I was told this is where you eat your food? If you eat your food at a dinner table, you're going to consume less calories because your one focus is on your food, unless you have your phone out and you start scrolling through Instagram or doing other things as well. All right? So having your meal times as just meal times and thinking, I'm here to enjoy this food. I'm going to take my bites slowly. I'm going to take my time eating like a European. God, if you've ever eaten with a European person, like, it will take all damn day because they eat at an insanely slow pace. That's where I learned how to do it, was from a buddy of mine named Jeff, who was a British guy, and breakfast would take an hour and a half. And I remember wolfing down my breakfast in 5 minutes, staring at his food, not being able to listen to the conversation, thinking, like, I'm still hungry, and you've eaten 2 bites of your eggs. Are you going to finish that, man? Because I will finish it for you. So eat slow, yeah, and quickly. So eat slowly. Other things to look at is like when you sit down, stressed, are you hunched over, eating like a rabid dog, not really enjoying it, and then being done with it, moving on to your next task? They call that like the New Yorker's bite, which is grab a slice of pizza, you stand up, you eat it really quick, and move on to your next thing. That can be a way to just add on more calories because you're not really listening to your body. You're just thinking, I'm hungry, I need this. In goes the food as fast as possible, on to the next task. All right, so back to our fullness cues is what's really big here, and this is like one tip that I want you guys to take away from here, is asking yourself and defining how it feels, because it's going to be different for everybody, all right? Am I satisfied? So satisfied to me means, like, can I eat more? Or I'll ask myself, can I go on a run right now? Can I push myself from the table? Can I run a mile and feel fine without having to feel like I'm puking? All right, am I full? Full means, hey, I've eaten enough. I could eat more, but I really should not. I really don't need to eat anymore. Stuffed. Stuffed means I recognized I was full. I ate more. I'm at a buffet, and there was all this delicious food around me. I just couldn't stop myself from saying no. So I ate to a point where I'm like, man, like my belt is feeling a little tight. Then there's uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is, like I'm lying on the floor, sweating, trying to breathe, and please don't speak to me for 45 minutes. That's after Thanksgiving, all right? And I'll admit, I've been to all those places many, many, many times before. At Ben & Jerry's, there's this thing called the Vermonster. I don't know if any of you guys know what that is, right? So the Vermonster is a bucket-sized, you can go over to my head, a bucket-sized container with 20 scoops of ice cream, 4 brownies, 4 cookies, 4 bananas, 10 scoops of toppings, and they finish it off with whipped cream. It's probably like a whole canister of whipped cream. A buddy of mine, we took that down. Right? Now, if you know, Ben & Jerry's is a full-fat, high-calorie ice cream. So a scoop has around 500 calories in it. Times that by that, we ate the whole thing, and we had this as like a challenge, like we're going to do this thing, we're going to do it. Ate the whole thing. I spent the rest of the day, my heart just beating. My friend came over, he's like, hey man, are you okay? Because I was red and I was sweating. And I was like, dude, like I ate like so much ice cream. It was thousands of calories, mostly from sugar and a lot of fat. And that's how my body felt. I did not feel good at all. And I didn't eat for like the next day because I'm like, I do not need any more food the next day. All right. So recognizing how you're feeling, and I will say that it's taken me years to get there because of the behaviors that I had, right? Seeing this and having weighed more than I do, more than myself, I know how it feels to overeat to an extent to where we recently, my wife and I, we went to Texas de Brazil, which is a Brazilian barbecue. If you know anything about Brazilian barbecue, a bunch of, I think they call them gauchos, right, Eric? Gauchos?
I don't know what that is.
You know what that is? All right. Well, dudes walk around with a bunch of shanks of meat, and they give you meat. As much meat as you want. It's all you can eat. And I'm a guy where I like to get my money's worth. And so I used to go and I would eat and go way beyond my point of being stuffed. And I would go to that point of being uncomfortable. And I was going to eat more. And Lauren said, we have a kid to take care of at home. I don't want to feel like I'm just like burdened by too much meat in my stomach. And I was like, hey, you are right. And that was the first time I went to a place in that environment where I could eat as much as I want. And I stopped when I only felt full. I stopped at full. I recognized I was full. I knew I could go on. I turned that little green card to red and said, I'm good. I don't need any more. I left there feeling full. And then later on that night, I felt fine. I slept fine. I woke up the next morning and ate breakfast. That was one of the first times that I was like, hey, like I'm proud of myself. This was like 2 months ago. So I've been alive for 34 years. I lost my weight at 17. So this is like a pivotal point where I've been taking care of my body and trying to work with that the exact equal amount of time that I've spent throughout my childhood, which is just eating whatever I want with however much I want. So this is the first time I could realize like, all right, cool, like I own this. I've been here just as long as I was there. Where when I was in my 20s, I'm like, hey, like that fat kid is still inside me and it still lives with me because he's been around for many more years than I've been here. And so I still am trying to battle through that and work through that. So I want you to know that like this is an ongoing struggle. It's always going to be there. If you've been overweight or you've had some issues like that, they're not going to go away, but you're going to get better at handling it more consistently. So first start off with your hunger cues. Like ask yourself and check in with yourself regularly, like where I'm at with my hunger cues, all right? Intuitive eating also does not have any food rules or tracking, all right? You just got to ask yourself, like, what does my body need right now? Like, and do I need more of it? Do I need some fruit right today? Do I need some more protein today? Like, do I need a little more fat? That can take time to get there because you may not understand like what your body needs and the cues that it's giving you, all right? You also have to rebuild trust through their body. One big question is like, how does this food make me feel after eating it, all right? So if you drink alcohol, Carrie, if you drink 2 drinks and you're like, I'm not going to feel good afterwards. Everybody knows if you over-drink alcohol, you're just not going to feel good. That's a normal thing. But how will pizza make you feel? If you eat 2 slices of pizza, how do you feel compared to eating 5 slices of pizza? If you can eat 2 and be like, hey, 2 slices, I feel fine. 5, I feel bloated, I feel sluggish, I feel heavy, don't really like it that much. Then have 2. Now because you have the decision, you know how those foods make you feel and how they affect you. Lauren and I, we had pizza last night. Normally, I would just eat until I'm full because I'm like, yeah, it's good, it's here. Let me eat as much as I want. Nope, I had like 3 slices of pizza. Felt fine. Later on, I had some cherries and some blueberries because I was still a little bit hungry. So asking yourself how will this make me feel afterwards is a very, very important question because it's going to help you understand. And also, it'll get you more in tune with your body. I know if I eat too much broccoli, I get gas. I feel bloat. So I try not to eat too much broccoli. Even though it's a healthy food, how's it going to make me feel? Every food has a reaction. Somebody could eat broccoli and feel fine. Another person could eat broccoli and develop hives. We just don't know. But you only find out if you're aware of how these foods make you feel. All right. So intuitive eating is great for diet fatigue. If you feel like you've been on too many diets looking for the next solution, this is a great way to start because you're thinking, all right, you know what? Like, I'm just going to see how foods affect me. Maybe I was on a vegan diet and I was having too many raw vegetables and it was giving me digestive issues. Some people think it's great. You're eating raw broccoli, raw carrots, and raw onions and cloves of garlic. Great, those are all healthy foods. Yeah, but that could also be like a balm inside your stomach that just makes you feel bloated and just like awful. I had a client of mine who that's what she was doing. She was making sheet pans of Brussels sprouts. And she's like, is that why I always have like a pit in my stomach? I'm like, how about you just don't eat Brussels sprouts for a week? Guess what? She's like, my stomach feels a lot better. I'm like, great. She thought that, hey, Brussels sprouts are healthy. They're good, but maybe not for her. All right. Emotional and stress eating. All right. Like, we got to find out, like, why are we eating? Am I eating because I'm stressed out? Am I grabbing this snack because I've had a hard day and I feel like I deserve it? Well, you got to ask yourself those questions and think, is there something else I can replace this with? Is there like a healthier option I can have? Or is there another activity that I can do instead of this? Maybe instead of grabbing that food, I can think, hey, you know what? I'm stressed. I need to meditate. Or, you know what? I'm stressed. I'm going to listen to this song that's going to relax me. Or this song that might like, pump me up. And then like, oh, I got the stress out now because I did it. That's why I listen to a lot of like intense heavy metal music. That calms me down. All right. Maybe I go on a run, go on a walk. Maybe I can do something that's exercise related to deal with the stress that I'm having, not stop by McDonald's and get a burger or stop by the bakery to go get a cookie. So be aware of, like, why am I grabbing this food? All right? Breaking good versus bad food mindset. There is no good or bad foods, right? People, who knows what a cheat day is? Who knows what a cheat day is? Yeah. It's a day where you're on a diet and you say, I'm no longer on a diet today. I'm going to break all the rules. Well, guess what? Like, I like to change that language and call it a refeed day. If you're trying to lose weight and you are eating less calories, there's going to be a point strategically where you need to eat more calories than you burn to keep your metabolism working properly. That's called a refeed day, not a cheat day. All that means is I just eat more calories today than I do throughout the rest of the week. There are no good or bad foods. What could be good for somebody might be bad for somebody else, and it might be a healthy food because how their body responds to it. So don't look at foods as being this is good and this is bad. Look at foods as like, how will this affect me? Will this positively affect me or will this negatively affect me? Is it going to make me feel better? Is it going to make me feel worse? Is this going to give me energy or is it going to make me feel sluggish? Is it going to make me feel light or is it going to make me feel heavy and weighed down? Look at foods in how is this going to affect me and how is it going to make me feel versus this is good or this is bad. We don't want to be black and white like that. Assessing what your body needs. Again, this is going to take a lot of time. It might take years to figure out, like, what does my body need in this moment. As I'm talking, I've had some coffee and I can feel like my mouth getting dry. I know I need more water. All right. I haven't drank enough water today because when I do, I got to go use that bathroom all the time. And I figured I got to be up here for 45 minutes to an hour. I don't want to have to go do that in the middle of it, so I'm not going to drink as much water. When I'm done, I'm going to go chug some water over there, though. Maybe you're thinking, I need electrolytes. All right. That's one also good way because I've been drinking my water, but do I have a headache? Like, why do I have this headache? Or why am I feeling like a little bit out of energy? Well, maybe I don't have enough electrolytes in my body, so let me put some salt in my water, or let me put an electrolyte packet in there. You know what? Like, I feel like I need some vitamin C. Why am I craving this orange? Why did this orange taste so delicious that I want to eat 7 more? Maybe I need a little more vitamin C. But you won't know that until you try to start eating foods that provide you with more vitamins and minerals. Checking in with your appetite and hunger cues. Now, does anybody know the difference between appetite and hunger? All right. So, appetite is a trigger, all right? I smell bacon. Guess what? I'm going to want bacon. That's a trigger that makes me want something, right? I smell fresh baked cinnamon rolls. I want some cinnamon rolls now. I'm driving by and I see a Haagen-Dazs ad where they're just getting this rich vanilla ice cream scooped out of there. Ooh, now I want some ice cream. Or, oh, I'm watching TV and a McDonald's commercial goes on. They open up that can of Coke, crack. You hear that sizzle, psst. The ice cracks as they go over it. Like, God, why do I want a Coke now? They do these things because they know that they can trigger you into wanting that. That is appetite speaking. You're not hungry, you have an appetite for it. Hunger is like, man, like I'm feeling a little tired. Hunger is, man, I'm feeling a little like cranky, right? Like a little like, ugh, like on edge. Like if somebody asks me a question that I don't want to answer, I'm just going to snap back at them. Hunger is like you feel your stomach rumbling. That's hunger cues versus appetite cues. Appetite usually relates to you wanting a specific thing that you either saw or passed in your environment. Hunger is like, I'm actually just hungry because maybe I haven't had enough food, all right? So you want to be aware of hunger and appetite cues and seeing like what caused this, right? And again, that's why intuitive eating is more of a mindset, not a skill set, because you can see here, this guy's asking all those questions. Should I eat this? What's for lunch? What's for lunch? Chances are, if you ask yourself, what's for lunch? What's for dinner? What's for breakfast all the time? Well, that's where it's going to come into flexible dieting, which is having a little more strategy to it. So flexible dieting is a skill set. It is awareness through tracking. Yes, it takes work. Who here, raise your hand if you've checked your bank account in the past week. All right, cool. Most of us have checked our bank account in the past week, all right? Why? All right, Rena, why did you check your bank account the last week?
I had to make some payments. I wanted to make sure my checks, everything was deposited and that I was good.
Great. You wanted to make sure that you had money coming in because you knew you had money coming out. And you wanted to make sure that you had a positive balance there that didn't go to a negative balance. Money in, money out, is it still positive? How many of you guys have tracked your calories in the past week? Okay, cool. Yeah, good. We track our calories because we want to think, how much am I burning? What's going out? What's coming in? And what is the balance of that all? So tracking calories is important to do. It's not something you have to do all the time, especially if you have a consistent way of eating. If you know you eat the same routine breakfast, you may not need to track that all the time because you're now aware of how much is in, let's say 2 eggs, a slice of toast, and an apple. You know how many calories are in that. And if you could break it down to macronutrients, think like, yeah, it has 15 grams of protein, it has 30 grams of carbs, and it has 10 grams of fat in there, even better because you have the awareness through the tracking of that. So tracking isn't something you have to do all the time, but it is important to do once a week, for a week, once a month. Or if you come back from vacation, or if you've had like a really stressful time, or if you just notice that, hey, like the way of eating that I had before that made me feel good and got me the results that I had has changed over the past month. I need to tighten things up and let me go back to tracking and see where I'm at. Oh, you know what? Like I'm not measuring out my food as much. Let me measure out this food and see what this looked like. What does like a cup of rice look like on my plate? What does 4 ounces of protein look like on my plate? What does, like how many calories are in a medium banana? Understanding those things, again, that assessment is going to help you figure out the awareness to have the change. So that when you eat a banana, you know, oh, there's like 90 calories in this banana. Why burn, let's say, 1,500 calories a day? I need to eat 1,200 to hit my goals. Well, now I know that that's like 8% of my calorie intake there. Or I'm going to go to Starbucks and I'm going to get a coffee that has 300 calories in it. Great, that's the decision you want to make in the morning and have 25% of your calories taken in just a coffee? Cool. So tracking your calories will really help you understand how much is coming in, and then the next thing is how much is coming out. Yes, I will say tracking your calories can be very tedious, and there are margins of error on there because not everything is going to be exact. So there's like a 25% margin of error when it comes to tracking. But the thing is, like, are you trying? If you're trying, great, keep on going. All right. There's also something called like if it fits your macros. If it fits your macros basically means like, here's my calories. Let's see, I have 1,500 calories. We have macronutrients, which are called protein, carbs, and fat. Those create calories. You got 4 calories for each gram of carb and protein and 9 calories for each gram of fat. So macros are important to understand, and we can go into that on another day. Now when I'm speaking about it, I'm going to think this is way too long of a topic to talk about in the time there. But flexible dieting can help you figure out, like, do I want to have that 250 calorie coffee in the morning because I really want that to be my thing. And knowing that this is going to be 20% of my daily calories. Well, great, if that's what you want, can you budget that for the rest of the day for the foods you're going to eat? Or if you are going to have, let's say, hey, you have date night and you're going to go and you're going to have, let's say, barbecue at nighttime. You know you're going to have like a big old meal and it says on there like this meal has 982 calories on it, on the menu, and you know you're going to eat the whole thing. Well, you know that like during the day, hey, maybe you have lighter foods throughout the day. You eat a little bit less to kind of bank those calories. Not to have less calories overall, but to not say, well, I've eaten 1,200 calories today. Now it's dinner time. Now I'm going to eat my 928 calorie dinner. Now you're maybe way over your calorie limit. So this helps you find out like am I actually overeating in too many calories? And also, if we undereat too much too consistently, that's also kind of a bad thing. Not to confuse you there, but that's where the strategy comes into understanding how many calories your body needs in a day to survive and maintain, and then cutting just a little bit, not a lot, but about 200 to 300, and then strategically once a week having the maintenance or a little bit more than you burn to keep your metabolism revving. So flexible diet is great for fat loss or muscle gain. People who like structure, routine, and also the freedom to eat whatever certain foods in certain amounts. Again, there's no restriction. There's no good foods or bad foods. It's about the quantity. How much am I eating throughout the day? It's also a very short-term focus to dial in your nutrition. It is not necessary for long-term. All right. Again, use it as an assessment tool, a skill set to figure out how much is in there. So there's pros and cons to each of them. All right. Or I should say differences, maybe not pros and cons, but differences. So flexible dieting requires tracking. You can use apps for tracking. MyFitnessPal is one of the most well-known apps around. I've been trying this one called Cal AI, which is where you take a photo of the food and then it'll kind of calculate how much is in there. The technology is not there yet. So I'll give you a little nuance here, right? I use 93.7 ground beef. That means 93% of it's lean, 7% of it's fat. If I take a photo of it, it'll say you have 85.15 ground beef. Nope. Those are very, very different macro levels, and it will give a different calorie level. So there are some nuances with calorie tracking. That's why I say it's a skill set. You have to get the skills of tracking them and figuring out what that is and measuring your foods out. Again, not something you have to do all the time, but something to just figure out where am I at to see am I on track? Am I budgeting for my calories? All right, intuitive eating has no tracking at all. That's based on all you need to track is, did I feel full today? Did I eat until I was satisfied? Did I give my body what it needs? Structure, flexible dieting does have a lot of structure to it because you have to track your foods. Intuitive eating doesn't have much structure at all. There's no time of day you have to eat. There's no what's called time restricted feeding like intermittent fasting. Flexible dieting could have that where you're thinking, hey, you know what? Like I know I'm going to have a big dinner today, so I'm going to skip breakfast. I'm not going to eat anything till lunch. I'm going to really light lunch to budget my calories to have that big dinner. Flexible dieting, the focus is on numbers and goals. Here's the goal that I want to get to. I want to get to this much weight, so I need to lose X amount of pounds. Here's where I'm currently at, and you will get specific numbers on how much you need to eat in the day. Here's how many calories I burn. Here's how many calories I then need to consume to get to the target that I want to be at. And of that target, here's the macronutrients that I need to hit. That can also be helped out with like a meal plan. I don't really like meal plans by giving them to people. I like people to track and then discover their meal plans themselves through tracking. All right. Intuitive eating, the focus is on awareness and habits, looking at your behaviors around food. Also looking at how you feel, with the amount of food that you're eating. Flexible dieting is great for data-driven folks, people that really want to know exactly what they're having. And intuitive eating is great for people that are tired of dieting. So the hybrid approach. This is what I recommend for most people is assess awareness and structure equals freedom. You want to start with your hunger cues and habit awareness. Today, I want you to look at like how am I eating my foods? Am I actually hungry? How much food did I need to eat in order to feel satisfied? And did I stop at satisfied or did I keep on going? I want you to recognize where you're at with how much you're eating. Start there. Am I satisfied, full, stuffed, or uncomfortable? Try to stop at satisfied. Yes, it's okay if you get full. It's okay if you get stuffed. It's okay if you go to uncomfortable. That's fine. We just want to be aware of where we're at and recognize how that feels. One good way to do that is to go on a walk. If you know, like for instance, dinner is my biggest meal. That's just by design. Gotta have the time to actually sit down and spend more time eating my dinner. If I go on a walk afterwards, I will know within 5 minutes if I've eaten too much. Because as I'm going on a walk, I'm like, oh, I feel like there's like a thing in my stomach right there, like it's cramping. All right? But if I've eaten just enough and I'm satisfied, I can go on a walk and I feel fine. So going on a walk, I think they call it like a postglandial walk, can be helpful for not only just metabolism overall and digestion, but it can also be a great tool to see, did I eat enough? If you say, I can't go on a walk, you know you've eaten too much. All right? Start with hunger cues and habit awareness. Track 1 to 2 weeks to learn intake. Once you've understood and you're like, all right, I'm aware of how much food I'm eating, I'm getting better understanding my hunger cues, I'm getting better understanding when to stop, when I feel satisfied, when I'm full, I'm getting better understanding how foods affect me and make me feel. Let me start tracking things. Let me see how much I'm actually eating and consuming here. Because we might be eating enough, like a volume of food, of low-calorie foods, so we may not be eating enough. That could be, I'm eating lots of vegetables, I'm eating very, very lean proteins, I'm having a half cup of carbs at my meals. Hey, your meals might only be like 300 calories, and you're only consuming 1,200, but you really need to be consuming 1,600. Well, we need to figure out, hey, like how do we add a little bit more to there? Maybe we have chicken thighs instead of chicken breasts, a little more fat in your diet. Maybe we have salmon, a more fatty fish, instead of, let's say, tuna. Maybe we have 3/4 of a cup of rice, or we add a piece of fruit to your snack. We can find to plug in things. Maybe we're not getting enough protein, and now we need to give you a protein shake to help supplement with protein. Tracking for 1 to 2 weeks to find out where you're at, and then thinking, cool, this works, I'm gonna add this to my regular diet, that I've created for myself. Cycle both tools based on your goals, all right? We want to repeat these after vacation, life transition, and long periods of stress. We also want to have regular check-ins for progress. So if you know that like you want to maintain a certain weight or be at a certain weight, you have to check in. You have to step on the scale and find out where I'm at. You have to also remove emotion from that number and not think like, oh man, I screwed up, this isn't working. Well, our body's going to fluctuate. And weight flux happens on a 2% basis every single day. So if you weigh 200 pounds like I do, that means I can weight flux 8 pounds. 4 pounds up, 4 pounds down over the course of that time. So if you step on the scale and you're 2 pounds up, don't be worried. It's just normal weight fluctuation. All right. So stepping on the scale and kind of finding out where you're at regularly to check in is a great tool to use. If you've noticed, ooh, like I've gained about 5 pounds over the past month, hey, maybe start tracking. Track your foods, see where you're at. What things have you changed? There's something called the 1% degree of aviation, which is if a plane is on a flight for, let's say, 1,000 miles and they're 1 degree off, they will land 300 miles in a completely different area. That could be a completely different state. It could be a completely different country, depending on where they're going. That same thing can happen. If we are 1 degree off over the course of a month on our nutrition, on our fitness, we could be in a very different spot. That 1 degree can also move in a positive direction. So we don't need to make massive drastic changes. The little changes can move you in one direction or the other. We just want to make sure we're going in the direction that we want to move into and not the direction we don't want to go. Common pitfalls. So obsessing over numbers. All right. Like if we are tracking, we want to make sure that we're not like living and dying by that. We need to be able to not track. If you're going to go out to date night and you want to have time with your partner, don't pull out your phone and be like, I'm tracking my calories. All right? Maybe you did that beforehand to know that you can have whatever you want. Be like, no, I tracked my calories beforehand. I made sure that I had a really light lunch. I made for sure I had a light breakfast, so that way I can enjoy myself at dinner. I don't need to track because I know I'm under my calorie limit. Great. That's where we want to be. All right? We don't want this to rule your life. All right? Again, choose your tool, not your prison. We don't want this to become a prison for you. Ignoring food quality. All right? We know how food affects us. All right? Carrie just told you all about how foods affect you, especially your hormones. We don't want to ignore quality. While we can, there's somebody that went on the Twinkie diet and did 30 days of just eating Twinkies and lost weight. He felt awful. He did not feel good at all. But he was just there to show, like, it's about calories. Calories are the way to do that. You can eat McDonald's every single day and lose weight. You may not feel that good, though. All right, so that's the thing is, like, food quality is going to relate to how you feel. Food quantity is going to relate to how much weight you have on your body. Confusing hunger with stress/boredom, right? Me being a kid, like growing up, like I was bored, I just eat. Like, yeah, like I'm bored, like what's in the cupboard? Open up the fridge. Nope, nothing has been added in there. I'll come back in an hour. You guys ever done that before? Open up the fridge thinking that some magical elf came in there and plucked in ice cream or cookies, be like, wow, those weren't there an hour ago. Like, I'm so glad for that. Yeah, you're bored. You're not actually hungry, you're just bored. You got to go do something. All right. Real life tips for success, hand portion guide. So if you don't want to track, this is intuitive eating. This is actually one of the skills for intuitive eating, right? Everybody's hands are different, right? Patty and Alex, you guys have different size hands, right? Yeah, all right? Like my hand is like far larger than my wife's hand. It's far thicker as well, all right? Your palm is protein, all right? If I put mine next to Rena's, my hand would envelop Rena's. So I need like 2 times as much of a protein as Rena would need, right? Adam and JC, same thing. Adam, you should have more protein on your plate because your palm is bigger, all right? So your palm size and also thickness is a serving of protein, right? 1 to 2 servings per meal, all right? Make a fist, all right? That's how many vegetables should be on your plate. Boom, fist. Cup. If I literally had a thing of rice and I went like this, and I put that on my plate, that's a serving of rice. So whatever can fit in the cup of your hand is carbs. Rice, potatoes, fruits. Your thumb is fats. So right up there, that could be nuts. That could be, this would be like maybe a tablespoon of olive oil, avocado. So ideally, you want 1 to 2 servings of each in your meals. So 1 to 2 servings of protein, 1 to 2 servings of carbs, 1 to 2 servings of fat, 1 to 2 servings of vegetables. All right. That's how you're going to have more of a balanced meal. And one way you can do that is like have your plate, boom, put your hand down. Yeah, my protein, that looks like that. Boom, get my fist. Yep, that looks like vegetables. Yep, that looks like carbs. And hey, you know what? Maybe you have a little bit more carbs because you don't have any fat in there. All right, cool. I'm going to have 2 or 3 servings of this because I don't have the fats in my diet there. All right, and again, plan for fun foods because they're allowed. All right, and do we have one more? Yep, one more. One more thing, your next steps, right? Start where you are. Identify your biggest nutrition struggle. Is it eating too much? Is it not prioritizing more quality foods in your diet? Is it not having enough of a certain nutrient? Maybe you don't have enough protein. Start there, all right? Choose intuitive or track for 7 days, all right? Again, we want to assess. You assess by tracking, and that becomes aware of how much am I eating, and then you can make the change on whether to eat more or less based on what your goals are, all right? Focus on consistency, not perfection. If you try to go on perfection, like it's not going to exist. We want consistency here. All right? Like I said, like I've tried to consistently work on myself for 17 years now, and I'm still doing it. And I will say, like today, like I have at my leanest I've been, and I've only been this lean 3 different times, and it's only lasted like 2 weeks. This is the first time I feel like this is actually going to last a lot longer. Mostly why is because I have a son now. And I have a much greater reason on why I want to be this way. And like I said, coming back to the why. My why is I want my son to know what a strong, capable man looks like as a role model, so I have to be that for him. So my reason why is so much deeper than it was when I first started, which was I want to love myself more. I want girls to like me. I want to feel better in my skin. Now I want a kid that I'm raising to have these, and I don't want to pass these behaviors on to them that I've had before. So I got to work on myself. So I got to consistently work on those behaviors. Next up is the wrap-up and follow-up. So, hey, thank you all for being here today. I want to do a one-on-one session with anybody here. So if anybody's like, hey, like I want to talk about this more, hey, let's get on a call. Let's talk together. Let's go through a nutrition coaching session where we can help you one-on-one. All right, so questions before I wrap up. Questions. Anybody got any? Oh, that's sad. Nobody's got any questions? All right. Maybe I answered them all. All right. Yeah, thank you very much. All right. Cool. Hey, thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate it. Look, whether you're here just like support me and be like, well, he's doing this cool thing, I'm gonna support him. Whether you're here to actually learn something today, or because you're bored, you want to get out of the house, I want to say I'm very, very thankful for you all for being here, because this is something that I built, and I'm not an event planner. I'm not the best marketer, but you guys all being here helps me out a lot, and it helps practice to make this better. So I really hope that you guys had something valuable that you could take away from here today and use it. So thank you all for being here, and appreciate you guys. All right.